It's my sweet 281st birthday. I was the first president of the United States, and I fathered this country. Come in.
Why, hello, sir. I'm Abraham Lincoln. I was 16th President of the United States, and I freed the slaves during the Civil War.
Glad to meet you.
Hi, I'm Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, author of the Declaration of Independence.
Nice to see you, Mr. Jefferson.
Nice to see you.
Hey,
Who are you?
I'm Andrew Jackson. General Andrew Jackson. I was the 7th President of the United States, and I sent the country into an economic downfall by destroying the Bank of the United States.
A general. Glad to meet you. Come in.
Hello,
Hello.
I'm James K. Polk, and I'm the 11th President, and I took California from Mexico.
Come in.
Who would wear these?
Hello, I'm Ulysses S. Grant. I was a Civil War general, and I was the 18th president.
Nice to meet you. Come in.
Hi, I'm Woodrow Wilson, 28th President of the U.S. I led the U.S. through World War I and fought for peace.
George Washington, at your service. Come in.
Hello, my name is Loring Harding. I was president from 1921 to 1923. I was regarded as one of the worst presidents in history, but I tried, and that's what matters.
Nice to meet you, George Washington. Here, come in.
Hello, I'm John F. Kennedy, 35th President of the United States. I believe in the new frontier during my first term, and I also like to have fun with Marilyn Monroe.
Come in.
Hi, my name is Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I was the 32nd President of the United States, serving from 1933 to 1945. And although I contracted polio at age 39, I was elected to 4 terms, adopted Social Security, ended the Great Depression, and I entered World War II on the side of the Allies.
Who are you, sir?
I'm Richard Milhouse Nixon. I'm the 37th President, and although my presidency was ruined by the water...
Come in.
Hey George, it's Teddy Roosevelt. How are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
Good to see you. I've got my big stick. Hi, can you hold this for me? Thank you. Yeah, it's about time you did something, George. Did you know I was the 26th president?
No, I did not.
Okay, well, I'm glad I could tell you. I'm the most powerful president, George. Did you know that?
Now I do.
You don't know much, do you, George?
Not much.
I tell you what, George, you're the father of our country, but between you and me, there wasn't much, was there?
Not
there was
much.
Tom, and there was Andrew, and Abe, I think, right?
Yes.
Yes, and it was just you and me. Powerful presidents, yes. And George, did you know I wrote 25 books, George?
Now I do.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay, you're in the know, George, thank you. George, did you also know that I made the presidency the powerful position it is today?
Now I do.
Did you know they called me the trust buster, George?
Yes.
Okay. Are you afraid of me, George?
Freak me out.
Do you like my smile?
That's good.
Thank you, George. Good to be here on your birthday, George. Can you continue holding that stick? I'm going to be shaking a lot of hands.
I guess so.
Thank you.
Come in. Who are you?
Well, I'm Ronald Reagan. I'm the 40th President of the United States. I helped strengthen relations with the Soviet Union and made the United States a stronger world power by using tactics, well, such as Star Wars. Jelly bean?
A jelly what? Hey, how are you, sir?
Oh, fine, George. How are you?
I'm okay. So, I heard the union that I created fell apart under your administration.
Yes, it did. But it was those guys who came before me. Taylor, Fillmore, Pierce, and James Buchanan.
Yeah, but it fell apart under your watch.
Hey, I put it back together, and in the process, I freed the slaves.
What? That would have never happened in my day. Are you insane?
I'm actually very admired for my beliefs. All men are created equal, George.
Hey, I made that phrase a reality.
For some people, slavery was allowed in the Constitution you signed.
I was trying to achieve harmony. All of us were trying to create a more perfect union.
Yes, a union with slavery. You even owned slaves.
They were freed eventually.
And guess what? I put down an armed rebellion in a bloody civil war. Beat that, George.
I crushed the Whiskey Rebellion within a few weeks.
It's not the same.
Speaking of not the same, is it suspending habeas corpus against the law?
Times were desperate. I had no choice.
It could have been more desperate than when I crossed the Delaware.
Ooh. A sneak attack in winter against some Germans versus half the country in armed rebellion.
I won the revolution.
I won the Civil War.
I followed this great country.
I saved it while restoring its ideals.
We should stop this. It's ridiculous.
I agree. Did you see the movie Lincoln?
Oh, for goodness sake, it's only a matter of time before a movie is made on my struggle comes out.
Yeah, they kind of touched on it on the in the miniseries John Adams, and wasn't John Adams your vice president?
I have to go greet some more guests.
Oh, happy birthday, George.
Thank you.
Are you the great Woodrow Wilson who passed the 19th Amendment?
Well, yes, I am, miss.
Oh, I'm sorry, where are my manners? I'm Betty Friedan. I wrote The Feminine Mystique.
It's nice to meet you.
Yes, it is, but still don't see why things aren't equal between men and women.
What do you mean?
Men have higher wages compared to women with similar jobs. Women are still expected to stay at home and raise the family and not work. Why is that?
I see. Well, I changed women's rights politically, but social opinions haven't progressed the same.
I guess, but it still doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Well, I have to go speak to Warren G. Harding. Nice meeting you.
Bye.
Hello, Dr. King. It's nice to see you again.
It's nice to see you too. How's the Civil Rights Bill coming along?
It's moving kind of slow currently, because I'm trying to get the Democrats on my side before I try to pass it.
I understand. I'm glad that you're trying to make this great change for this country.
Not a problem at all. What types of approaches are you using to try to get civil rights in the South?
Well, I'm trying to follow the great steps of Gandhi by implementing a type of peaceful rebellion. When Miss Rosa Parks was wrongfully put in jail with the help of many, I got numerous people to boycott the buses. I also led the Great March on Washington.
It's a great way to go about it. Makes the civil rights movement much more stronger, and instead of going about it violently.
Well, it was nice seeing you again.
Bye.
Ah, here's the young lady that started the Civil War. Well, you and John Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Lincoln. My friends do say that Uncle Tom Cabin is considered the most influential book in the history of the United States. But if it wasn't for your great leadership, our ship would not have made it safely through the storm.
Thank you, madam. Although I did hear that there was a time when you criticized me.
Well, I regret that I did. I thought you were moving too slow. But let me assure you that I greatly admire you.
Ah, all the radicals thought I was moving too slow. Ha! My pocket veto of the Wade-Davis bill sure did get Stevens and Wade's panties in a bunch. The 10% plan really was the best solution for Reconstruction. They just weren't as far-sighted as I was, of course.
And speaking of admirable, I never noticed how strong you were, Abe.
Well, they don't call me the rail splitter for nothing.
Now be honest, Abe. Did you say the war was not about slavery?
Yes, my first priority was keeping the Union together.
Well, that doesn't matter anymore, I guess. But have you seen that movie, Lincoln?
Yes, I did see the movie Lincoln. Quite fantastic. I was just telling Washington about it.
Would you like to
I
go
thought
to
it was the greatest movie of all time. Should have won Best Picture as well.
Well,
Would you like to go see it?
I'm not in the mood for a play, alas, but I hear there's a Martin Luther King Jr. that I should meet. It was good to see you, Mr. Lincoln.
Right, glad to see you, Mrs. Stark.
How do you do, Wilson?
Hey, Harding, enjoying the party?
It's all right. I'd rather be out golfing, though. I digress.
You and your golf, Harding. You're never any good at anything. I mean, what? Does golf practice take priority over being president of the United States?
At least I don't think I know everything because I have a PhD, Mr. Princeton.
Well, you restored the high tariffs to protect American industry. Should I get the partygoers to applaud you, maybe give you an award or a cookie?
That won't be needed. They should applaud you for that 19th Amendment. Giving women the right to vote must have been more important than the World War I. You know, I signed the treaty that ended that war. Officially, on paper, you know. I even spoke in favor of black rights. You may have helped women, but at least I was trying to help the blacks.
Yeah, but you're one of the worst presidents from what I've heard. You should have introduced yourself as Harding, the worst president ever. Very fitting.
I guess no one can touch your legacy. Look at everything you achieved. You set up the central banking system with the Federal Reserve Act, lowered tariffs with the Underwood Act, and of course your infamous 14 points where you said you wanted to fight a moral war and post-war peace in Europe. I didn't realize you named an act after your IQ.
Yeah, I guess you must have done a lot more than that in less than one term.
Why, I guess no one is as great as you, Wilson. How about that failed League of Nations. First you enter a world war, then propose to get together with other nations? How smart of an idea does that sound on paper?
Sounds about as smart as pardoning deserters from World War I. Did that help your popularity at all, Mr. Worst President Ever?
No one as great as you, sir. Woodrow Wilson, the man who won a Nobel Peace Prize.
I earned that. At least my presidency didn't have a scandal. Teapot Dam ring a bell? Leasing an oil reserve to private companies? What a great contribution to your legacy.
You know, my cabinet and I used to play poker twice a week. Why not put a wager? You bet your Nobel Peace Prize on a game of poker.
What would you bet?
My comfy silk pajamas.
Hello, Polk. How you doing?
Better than your foreign policy. You need to quit being soft. Imperialism is the way to go.
I disagree. Without peace, the world will be treated upside down.
With peace, you're letting people walk all over you. Plus, without imperialism, our access to foreign markets will be diminished.
But if you try to intervene with these foreign markets, many problems will occur, such as war. We don't need war. The only reason you wanted to go to war was to gain more land, and I took care of the Cuban Missile Crisis while transitioning from massive retaliation to a flexible response.
Well, I used force to solve the nation's problems, not weakness.
Sometimes being the strongest isn't the most important thing. Goodbye.
You know, I could never imagine fighting in a war. That's why I backed neutrality for the longest time.
Excuse me? Of course you couldn't. You thought leading from the home front was hard. Try leading from the front lines.
You may be right, but you've never dealt with a oppressed economy.
That bank was evil and it deserved to die. It fostered wealth for the wealthy and hurt the poor man.
Yeah, I'm sure it had nothing to do with its leader, Nicholas Biddle.
Hey, why don't you go try packing another court or making another New Deal program?
At least my doings were accepted and I didn't have to force them upon people.
What did you want me to do? Let South Carolina just leave?
Just like the Cherokee Indians winning back their land?
Marshall bit off more than he could chew. He made his decision and couldn't back it up.
I can give you the benefit of the doubt, I guess. Your weakening of the economy is what set up the depression that made my legislation so popular.
You know what? I've had just about enough of you in all this. All right, I'm going to be the bigger man, and I'm going to walk away.
Hey, jelly beans, mind if I have some? You know, this party is kind of dull. You have all these people walking around thinking they're either geniuses or celebrities. I actually used to be an actor, and a darn good one too. Sure, I didn't win any Academy Awards, but I did look good. I'm a genius too. One time I had this idea to destroy missiles in space before they could even go off. I called it, well, Star Trek, or was it Star Wars? Either way, I'm a genius for other things. I thought of cutting taxes hoping that the wealth would trickle down. It worked out wonderfully. I'm a hero too. I took a bullet for this country. Well, at least one for Jodie Foster. I'm always nice to women. I even picked the first Supreme Court.
Hello, I'm Jefferson Davis.
So, tell me about this Death Star you're building.
Oh, it's a big spaceship that shoots lasers and blows up planets.
Blows up planets, huh?
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Jefferson Davis.
If you ignore a problem long enough, it will go away. So how about them Red Sox?
Ah, here's the little lady who started the Civil War. Well, you and John Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Lincoln. My friends do say that Uncle Tom's Cabin is considered the most influential book in the history of the United States. But if it weren't for your great leadership, our great ship would not have made it safely through the storm.
Thank you, madam. Although I did hear that for a time you did criticize me.
Well, I regret that I did. But I believed you were moving too slow. Just let me assure you that I greatly admire you.
All the radicals thought I was moving too slow. Ha! My pocket veto for the Wade Davis bill sure did get Stevens and Wade's panties in a bunch. The 10% plan really was the best solution for Reconstruction. They just weren't as far-sighted as I was.
And speaking of admirable, I never noticed how strong you were, Abe.
Well, they don't call me the rail splitter for nothing.
Now, Abe, I have a bone to pick with you, and do be honest. Did you say that the war is not about slavery?
I am naturally anti-slavery. But keeping the Union together was of utmost importance. I would save the Union with or without freeing the slaves. What I did about slavery, I did mostly because I believed it would help save the Union.
I believe that emancipation was more important, but I respect you and appreciate that you did decree the Emancipation Proclamation. Anyway, I hear there's a Martin Luther King Jr. that I should.
Nixon, how's the party going thus far?
Pretty good. What's your opinion of it?
I think that it's pretty good.
Hey Nixon, hey Roosevelt, how's it going?
Good.
Good.
Roosevelt, why did you take the country off the gold standard?
Well, when the Great Depression hit and many banks were closing, the citizens of this fine country went to the banks and started hoarding gold. The country's economy soon fell apart, and when I became president, I needed to fix the economy. Therefore, I took the country off the gold standard.
Well, it's about time. I mean, the United States really needed to get off the gold standard. I think the free silver policy makes much more sense because the silver to gold ratio was 32 to 1, and that's not very balanced.
Well, I didn't take on the free silver policy either.
What?
I just took the country off the gold standard. I didn't put it on a new one.
Then what is our money backed by?
Nothing really. It's just what the world thinks our money is worth.
That makes no sense.
It's okay.
So Nixon, tell me about the Nixon shocks.
Well, when I became president, I inherited a terrible economy from Lyndon B. Johnson, and the unemployment rate continued to steadily rise to about 6%. So to save the economy, I made up a new plan called Nixon Shocks. I made gold non-transferable to the U.S. dollar.
Did it work?
Yes, it halted the unemployment rate and inflation.
Well, I'll let you guys get back to dinner. Bye.
Bye.
They used to call me the great communicator. I'm sure you can tell since we've been talking for hours. I'm just glad this is a nice drug-free party, considering all the hard work I did with my Anti-Drug Abuse Act. Wow, guess I lost track of time. Thanks for the jelly beans, friend, and hopefully we can chat again in the future.
Ah, Mr. Jefferson, look who it is. Mr. Big and Mr. Big Government.
You can call him Alexander Hamilton and myself Henry Clay.
Yeah, the two arguably most responsible for that octopus of a federal government.
Hey, the ideas of federalism brought this nation to a sense of unity and identity.
Okay.
I'm sorry for seceding. I never wanted to be president anyway.
That's okay.
Yeah,
It's okay, yeah. I understand.
We accept you.
We're sorry we. Hey George, we're bringing you in a birthday cake.
Oh, wow.
Happy birthday, George!
Oh, thank you.
Wow. George, it's your birthday today. George comes from the Greek language, and it means farmer. George, did you know that on your birthday in 1630, popcorn was introduced to English colonists when the brother of one of the Native Americans brought a bag of stuff over to dinner that day? Yes. And George, did you know in 1956, Elvis Presley became a star with Heartbreak Hotel? Did you know in 1969, Barbara Jo Rubin became the first woman to win the U.S. thoroughbred horse race? George, other birthdays on your birthday. Let's see. George Washington in 1732. Rembrandt Peale in 1778, a very famous artist, George. Yes, not as famous as you. In 1932, Edward Ted Kennedy.
Oh, Kennedy!
Another New Englander. In 1934, Sparky Anderson. Yes, coach of the Big Red Machine in Cincinnati, George. Yes, in 1944, Jonathan Demme, Academy Award-winning director. In 1975, Drew Barrymore, George. Maybe you've seen her in some of her advertisements for makeup.
What is makeup?
Yes, you're wearing it on your head, George. Okay. Chart toppers. In 1957, the song Too Much by Elvis Presley. Never too much, George. You can never have too much. I say let's sing happy birthday to George Washington. High note or low note?
High note.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear George Washington. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Go. Good morning. Brunch.
Hard.
It's tough. Right on.
Walkers.
Seamus.
400, 600, 800, 1,000.
Admit 1.
14 points.
New deal.
Monica Calvin.
Lightning.
Chris.
Cross. Snapple.
Ortega.
Supersonic.
D squared.
V for victory.
Pop life.
Let's go, seniors.
2014.
Yeah.
Yeah.